being from the Highlands, we're supposed to be men. That's what, we're like Highlanders and strong men and all this stuff, and it's just rubbish. We can be strong, but then we can also have a sense of what we need to do to better ourselves.
That's Luke Stoltman, who we're going to hear more from shortly. In Scotland, men are 3 times more likely to commit suicide than women. And within Scotland, here in the Highlands, we have some of the highest figures for male suicide. According to the statistics available before the pandemic, those figures were on the up. I'm Bruce McGregor. I've lived and worked in the Highlands all my life, and through both my professional life as a musician and businessman, and through my passion for playing rugby, I've known of far too many cases of people taking their own life. It's a sad fact that just about all of us here in the Highlands knows someone touched by suicide. The aim of this podcast, speaking of suicide, is simply to share stories and experiences. It isn't all about suicide. Some of the stories you'll hear are about just many of us struggling with the day-to-day stuff of life. The point of the podcast is to get more of us talking. If we don't talk about it honestly and openly, then there's a danger that those statistics will keep on going up with devastating consequences. There's no getting round it. Some of what you're going to hear will be tough, but we hope you'll also be able to see these stories as a celebration of life and the fact that no matter where you're at just now, it's worth holding on and getting help. With that in mind, throughout the podcast, we've got reminders of how you can get in touch with Mikey's line, and at the end of the story, we've got some useful tips and tricks for when you're struggling. Speaking of Suicide has been funded by the Highland-based family firm D&D Paving Ltd because the construction industries suffer from particularly high rates of male suicide, and they wanted to do something to help. No matter what industry you work in, tell people about this podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, share it. If we manage to help one person step back from taking their own life, then we've succeeded. And please remember, if you're listening to this and it becomes too much, you can always hit the pause button. I'll pass you over to Speaking of Suicide producer, Penny Lattin.
What do we mean when we say someone is strong? Well, with physical strength, that's easy, but what do we mean by mental strength? In this episode, I'm talking to one of the world's physically strongest men, Luke Stoltman, but he's also an ambassador for Mikey's Line and a great advocate for encouraging us to get mentally fit, whatever that means. Luke, we do know it's quite obvious what we mean by physical strength. How do you define mental strength?
It's a varied kind of response I've got for that one. So for me, I think it's learning how to deal with stuff that cause us, or that's caused us trauma, suffering in the past. So mental strength, it's been able to still wake up in the morning and function, so learning your coping mechanisms, improving every day, and trying to pass that mental strength on to others as well. For me, there's no point being mentally strong if I can't pass that strength on to other people that are suffering, so I'm very fortunate I've got my coping mechanisms, but others aren't so fortunate. So for me, being as strong as I can in my mental state or mental strength is so important, because then I can hopefully lead by example and try and show other people that we can be mentally strong, maybe.
You are one of the world's strongest men. You compete on physical strength. So you clearly have to keep yourself physically fit and healthy. But I mean, what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself mentally fit? Do you work at it in a similar kind of way?
Very much so. I mean, it doesn't just happen overnight, unfortunately. If we could just click our fingers and all our traumas, sufferings, mental weaknesses, whatever, just could go away, that would be amazing. If we could bottle up something and give it to someone and say, take that and you're going to just be in cloud nine for the rest of your life. That's not a reality. And yeah, so for me, it's training that mental strength, mental fitness. I like to say we can all work to improve that. So for me personally, my coping mechanisms, from a young age, I discovered training. That's why I think I'm maybe successful in that field because that really helps me stay focused. It kind of has a release for me, since I was about 16 I was in the gym, so that's 20 years now I've been training, and that's always been a huge release. So when I was younger, maybe a little bit more angry, didn't know who I was, all I knew was this training and lifting weights helped me. And then as I've kind of grown up and got into my adult life, this last few years, I've really found a comfort in talking about it. That really helps me. So we do quite a lot of stuff on YouTube and Facebook and stuff, and just broadcasting that, okay, yeah, as you stated, I'm one of the strongest guys in the world, but I still am very emotional. I still struggle with the suffering that we've all had. Everyone goes through trauma, everyone goes through suffering, and it's okay just to talk about it and say, look, I'm having a bad day, but let's not stop there. Let's not just say we're having a bad day and kind of call it quits. We need to have that coping mechanisms. So for me now is getting up. I love to see the sunrise. It's just so, for me, it's so rewarding to see that sunrise. I never really believed in the energy of Mother Nature and Earth and stuff. Up until maybe a few years ago, I started seeing this alternative health practitioner, and I thought it was all this airy-fairy kind of gobbledygook. And because again, being from the Highlands, we're supposed to be men. That's what we're like Highlanders and strong men and all this stuff, and it's just rubbish. We can be strong, but then we can also have a kind of a sense of what we need to do to better ourselves. So for me, being outside, every morning I go for a swim in the sea. So we go, obviously in the winter time, the sunrise was a little bit later. As the summer comes in closer, the sunrise is maybe 4:30, 5 in the morning. So there's a group of us, we call ourselves sunrise hunters. So it's just little things like that that's so, when I say to people, I get up 5:30 in the morning, 5 o'clock, that's when I start my day, to go hunt the sunrise, people laugh at me. People have laughed before I've said stuff, and now they're joining in and they're also doing that. So, first people laugh and then they'll join in and then they'll get the rewards. And for me, putting myself in a stressful environment like the cold water, the endorphins and the rewards I get from that is just, if I could put that in a bottle and give it to someone and say, take that honestly, I believe that with my whole heart, my whole being as a person, I believe that could change everyone. So for me, I'm very, very passionate about it. And people talk about it as a fad, a phase and all this stuff, but we've been doing it now 3 or 4 years. Initially it was for the recovery aspect of it, for strongman training and stuff, but then I got this kind of buzz after. I was my eyes are just open. It's so, it's just, I don't know the science behind it. And I don't really want to know the science because I'm more of a reaction. That reaction I get, I'm like, it works for me. Just come and try it. Put your body there and you're surrounding yourself with positive people. And it's just such an amazing feeling to be surrounded with positivity. And that's the first thing you're doing in your day. And then you're just carrying that positivity throughout the day. And for me, that's something that we need to do as individuals, is find that kind of thing that makes us tick and makes us think, that's where I'm getting my positivity from. And for me, it's the gym, being around positive people, family. My family are so supportive. I'm so fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate to have that support from that family. And, they could think I'm crazy for doing strongman. I've given up my job. I've immersed myself into strongman, and they could have said, what are you doing? You're an idiot, stop being stupid, you're never going to do anything with it. But they've given me that support, they've seen that vision, and I've had that support. And just very, very lucky to be where I am now.
It sounds to me like you're in quite a sophisticated place now in terms of looking after your mental health through things like the swimming, the sunrise, even the physical training that you do, and the ability to talk. But where did this stem from? Were you always able to talk? Were you always so open about being emotional? Take me back to young Luke.
Oh, when I was younger, I was closed off. I didn't know, I know it sounds very cliched and cheesy, but I didn't know who I was. You know, when I was younger, it was like, turned 18, started working offshore, and then that was going to be my life. You know, I enjoyed the gym, like I said, when I was 16, started training. I was quite kind of trying to fit in, you know, not wanting to stand out or, you know, okay, I need to buy these jeans because everyone else is wearing those jeans, buy these trainers because everyone else, and I was just pretending to be this person, and then like, it didn't do anything for me, it didn't excite me, I wasn't probably truly happy. You know, we had nice times, etc., etc., but not knowing who you were and not pretending, but trying to fit in with the crowd. You know, for me, looking back, that's not who I want to be. And I think it was one of the most worst times, traumatic times of my life when we got told that Mum had cancer. But also with that trauma, you also get that kind of like light switch, you know, something just went off, and like we got told Mum had kind of 6 months to live. So I was like, if I don't speak to Mum and kind of let her know I'm going to be okay and just kind of communicate, and I don't know what happens when we die. I don't know. If we go to another life, if you go to heaven, whatever, I don't know. But if there is a chance that Mum's still there, looking and still being, and she didn't have that conversations with me, then she would be worrying that I'm not okay, you know. So I wanted to say, look, Mum, I go through these issues, and like, I'm angry and this and that, and like, it's hard, you know, hard for me to talk about things, but it was so nice. Sounds horrible, it wasn't nice, but when Mum was like on her kind of final weeks, the amount of time that I had with Mum, I kind of took maybe 2 months off work, and I was able to spend every day with her and have those chats, just about anything, like just talking about the gym, talking about training, talking about like Cushy, my wife, and I think that's what made me learn to actually be open, and be confident to be able to talk about stuff. Because if I talk about what I feel, if I talk about my feelings, I can't go wrong. You know, it's not something that, like if I'm struggling today, if I'm saying I've got a bit of a bad day, Mum, I'm feeling just a bit shitty, I'm feeling a bit like sad and depressed and stuff, there's nothing bad that's going to happen from me like expressing that to my mum, because even though she's going through hell and back, you know, she's got all her treatment and stuff, she can still see that I'm opening up. I'm kind of learning to kind of analyse my emotions and why I'm feeling like that. So now I'm able to analyse it and know why I'm feeling like that. But back then it was a struggle. It was still, so maybe I'd be out in the weekend drinking, and then on the Monday morning I'd go and say to my mum, I'm feeling really crap today. And then, you know, you're looking back now, well, because I've been drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, been eating crap food, not looking after my body, you know, not doing the things that I should be doing. So I owe so much to, it sounds horrible in a way, but for Mum not being here, I owe so much to her because of that, because she really, her death made me really take charge of who I am and what she would expect from me, I think. We're very privileged to have a big profile, in the Highlands especially. So if, say for example, if I, on my deathbed, and I haven't made a difference to anyone's life having that big profile, I've not only done myself an injustice, I've done my mum an injustice, my family. So that was like the life-changing moment in my life. For, you know, there's also a lot of negatives, don't get me wrong, from that, but now we're kind of 4 years on, I'm looking at the positives now, and it's like driving me to want to be better. But it was a tough time, you know. When I was 18, like I said, got thrown off, went offshore, started working, all these kind of rough and ready men, you know, kind of I was just a young lad from Invergordon and kind of not exposed to that kind of manliness or that industrial feel. You know, I've never, even though my dad's done that all his life, I've never been exposed to that, you know. So we live in the middle of nowhere, really, out of the town. So going offshore at such a young age, it was like thrown into the deep end, and you kind of had to fit in, you know. Can you imagine being in a tea shack, a tea break offshore with like 50 guys, and you're sticking out like a sore thumb, and everyone's like joking and laughing
And sticking out like a sore thumb would have mean what? Being open and honest about feelings?
Yeah, back then, definitely. If you were like saying, oh, I'm really missing home, again, because it's a young boy, you know, I used to cry when I was offshore on the phone to my mum. I'd be like, oh, I don't want to be here, mum, this is horrible. And I can imagine if I opened up like that in a tea shack, back then.
What would have happened? I mean, I'm interested because it's imagine if is what that imagine if is I think what's stopping us from talking more is that worry about being judged, I suppose. Yes. But I wonder what would happen if someone said, you know what, I'm having a crap week or a crap day.
To be honest, I think it would have been, you would have probably got the piss taken out of you, to be honest, back then. Like now, I could go in and be crying. I cry in front of whoever. It doesn't put me up or down, you know, I'm very...
In fairness, I don't think anyone's going to challenge you on anything to be about anything, Luke. Yeah. You want to cry, Luke? No bother, you cry.
But I think back then, it's also... I think I was to blame for that because I wasn't sure who I was as well. So I was still trying to work out, like, me as a person, you know. Like, it's my first proper job in the grown-up life. I don't want to kind of rock the cart too much, rock the boat too much, and just all these worries and kind of, oh, you have to try and be this way, and I guess there's so many people like that now, still, you know, that hate going into work, that have that kind of anxiety about going into work every day. And I don't know, what would have happened? Probably nothing. Probably would have got help. Probably someone would have said, look, you're just a young lad, kind of stick with it. And like, the guys weren't monsters, that's the thing, they were all really nice guys. But it's a strange one.
It's some kind of fear of being judged. But when you sort of actually think about it and you think, well, seriously, what's the worst that can happen? Is that someone laughs at you or nothing happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like creating monsters in your head, isn't it? I mean,
oh, definitely. It's like when you're younger, looking under the bed, there's going to be a monster, and you know there's not going to be a monster, but you've in your head. That's the thing, you know. Your head's it can be such a good place to be, or it can be such a bad place. You know, when you're creating these monsters or these demons that aren't actually there. And yeah, that's what I was kind of really bad for, I think, when I was growing up, was just thinking, like, if I was to say anything, you know, like now I'll talk to anyone, I'll be open, chat, blether, whatever, and I don't care, it's just that I know who I am as a person now, if that makes sense. It's not, I don't need to fit in, I don't need to be whoever, I'm just me. And if you don't like me as a person, then that's fine, you know, that's absolutely fine, but obviously you're not going to be part of my life. So I'm lucky enough that I've got a close group of friends, family's amazing, wife's amazing, and that's it, that's all I need in life. But back then, when you're creating these demons and, oh my God, what's going to happen? I'm going to start crying in public, imagine that. But no one cares, no one really cares. And that's the thing, actually people think, Jesus, you're opening up. Like that, I think now, in today's society, there's a lot more people saying well done, you know, for opening up, well done. This is a starting point of you getting better, of you needing help. Again, let's go back to those coping mechanisms. What can we do to help you cope with the way you're feeling? But it's got to be the individual that comes out. You know, we can ask people, are you okay? And I ask people, how's it going, mate? You all right? Yeah, sweet, cool. And that's the immediate reaction, is that you're always okay, you know.
It's sort of default, isn't it?
Yeah, of course. So it's got to be up to that individual, I think, to actually open up and say, look, I'm not okay. I need a help, whatever.
We'll continue with Luke in just a moment, but don't forget, it's okay not to be okay. And if you need someone to talk to, you can text Mikey's line on 07786 207755 or contact them via Messenger, web chat or Twitter. Sunday to Thursday 6pm till 10pm and Friday to Saturday 7pm to 7am.
So your mum was diagnosed with terminal cancer, and that helped you kind of unlock something and start talking, and you were talking to her. I'm interested that then that process kept going. Even when she died, by the sounds of it, you were still able to talk to people beyond your mum. Can you remember that feeling like something unlocking? Were you aware of it at the time, Luke?
I don't think I was aware so much when I was talking to Mum. So after Mum passed away, Kush and I had a bit of a bumpy time. So I went to therapy and I started speaking to a therapist. And it's amazing what speaking to a therapist can do, because they're so smart. You know, they're very clear. I'm such a Neanderthal at times, and I'm just sad because I'm blah blah blah. But but when they put it in like layman's terms and explained it to me, like, so for example, Kushi and I, when we used to go see Kushi's parents after Mum passed, I used to always not kick off, but have an argument with her, fight and stuff. And think she didn't understand and all this. And the therapist that was seeing said to me, she said, look, did you ever think that you've got that resentment towards Kushi and her family because they've still got that family? And I was like, oh, geez, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm not just an idiot, there is a reason. And being able to talk to someone that, I spoke about it before, sometimes if you speak to family or to friends, like, so we lost our mum, so if I spoke to my family, they're also going through that grieving process, so I feel a little bit kind of self-absorbed and self-indulgent just speaking about me when my other 4 siblings are going through the same thing. My dad's just lost the woman that he loves and he's been with for so many years, so that's something that was kind of tough for me. So speaking to the therapist, I think that's what really helped actually, was she gave me the tools, because like I say, I'm not stupid, but I'm not that way inclined, where maybe I wasn't capable of opening up properly, but then she kind of put it in layman's terms, that, yeah, they're going through that grieving process, but by you opening up to them, then we'll help them open up to you. And it's like a back and forth then, we can have memories. Sharing, exactly, yeah. So 2 heads are better than one and all this stuff. So that kind of got me out of that kind of thinking as well. You know what, it is good to talk, because, yeah, there is other people worse off than me, but there is also people in the same boat and going through that exact same situation and that same trauma. So if I can talk about it, then maybe someone else can learn from it.
It sort of gives permission, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Gives permission to other people to
definitely
come back at you. Was it quite a difficult decision to go and to see a therapist? Because that can be, I don't know, sometimes a bit stigmatised, the idea of I went to see a therapist. I think less so now, but it's still, it's a step, it's a thing.
It was one of the most scariest things. I remember walking up the stairs. It was a lot of stairs. I was out of breath, but I got to the top. It was a few flights of stairs, and I just didn't know what to expect. It was on WhatsApp. I messaged the lady, and she seemed very friendly, but obviously you can't get a indication on WhatsApp, messages and stuff. So, but straight away it was just so comforting and so, I don't know, just felt relaxed. There was no judgment. There was no, talking about yourself again. Jesus, I've heard it all before. There was nothing like that, and that's what it was so nice. And I know, so for me, talking, even doing podcasts, talking on Facebook, YouTube, etc., that's also a form of therapy for me, So I'm talking, I'm expressing my opinion, my emotions at that present time, and it does help. And that's what the therapist really kind of helped me see. I think that it is okay to feel these things, and the way our brain works, the way our mind works is just crazy. You know, there's no one way to make someone better. You know, everyone's so unique, and that's what makes us all beautiful, I think, as well, that we're so unique. You know, so I can go swimming and get this reaction and this euphoria feeling, and someone else will go and just be absolutely disgusted because it's so cold. So for me, that's why I think it's so nice to be unique, and not wanting to fit in is a good thing, I think.
I think the therapy thing is quite interesting. I went to see a therapist. I got pretty low at one point, and so was lined up to go and see a therapist. And I remember thinking, I've got nothing to say to her. I've got absolutely nothing to say. It was all so internal and so inside me, and I thought, I don't know what I'm here for. I don't know what I'm going to speak about. You know, and an hour later, you've talked non-stop, and you think, oh, maybe there is something I need to talk about here. And there can be that thing when you get quite low that you actually think it sort of steals your words away from you almost. It's like it feels like you can't speak about it. Well, I've found that sometimes that I can't. I ended up, you know, I use writing to get it out these days. You know, I have to write it down, and then I kind of go, oh, right, I've got it physically out. That's my way of doing it.
Right.
But I think you're right, everyone's different.
Yeah, I mean, if I wrote it down, I'd probably be too many spelling mistakes for me, so at least if I can speak, it's not so bad. But yeah, it's so varied. So yeah, I mean, like you say, you're with the writing, I'm the talking. Other people will maybe paint, or they won't want to say anything, they'll just go for a walk and talk to themselves, and but anything that helps is okay, you know. You
spend a lot of time, I know, working with other guys now, trying to get them to better mental fitness. How has that kind of come about?
I don't actually know. It's a funny one, because I think since Mum's passed and me being open and talking about it, and I think the more obviously someone's profile grows, and the more people will pay attention. And you know, so say if I had 20 followers, it wouldn't make that much of an impact. But because we're on a bigger scale now, and I have been talking about it for, like I say, since Mum passed, about 4 years now, and I think people just picked up on it that, like, I'm not doing it for people to ask if I'm okay, or self-gratification or anything like that. I'm just doing it because I just hope that it can help someone. That's all I want.
You've got the gym now, so you're not with an oil and gas anymore.
Yeah.
So you're in a very different culture, but I suspect still quite a male environment, maybe, if they're doing the strength stuff. How are you cultivating a different kind of environment there?
Yeah,
I mean, is it a place people can come and talk? What's it like?
It's I'm so proud of what we've kind of created. It's not myself or Tom or Stacey, the other owner. It's the members. So because I talk about stuff, and you know, I'm crying in the camera and this and that, it kind of pushes other people to talk about it. So I was talking to one of her good friends, a girl, the other day, and she just said to me, she says, "Look, you must be so proud, because we don't have, it's not a big gym, it's maybe 80, 90 members, but she said that you must be so proud, because I think we all now can talk about stuff, you know. So if she's just going through a divorce, so she's very open and talking about that. There's other people that are struggling, you know, this current lockdown that we're having, people are really struggling, and we've got like Facebook, and people are talking, and you know, we've got WhatsApp and stuff we can chat through. So it's giving that place of safety that you don't feel judged. So like there's guys, like you say, it is very male, it can be male dominant, but also we can now opened up to outdoor classes, which is amazing. So there's girls, so many girls, I get intimidated sometimes when I go in. It's scary, these beasts of women just smashing the weights, which is awesome to see. But so I'm proud in the sense that they push themselves to the utmost in their fitness and strength journey, but in the same point, they're so open and talk and like they want to help other people, and it's not just members of the gym, but it goes further than that. So we start small and we're spreading all the time, and I've talked about it. It's this movement I feel that we're starting to create now, which is just, I get goosebumps even just thinking about it. So it's so cool, and that's something that I'm very proud of.
Almost sounds to me like you've created a gym for mental fitness as well as physical fitness. Does it feel like that?
It does actually, yeah, which is, it's just so nice, because I come in sometimes and like the girls are all talking, and like women like to talk anyway, so do I, but they're chatting and like, oh, I had a bad day yesterday, I felt really down, so I went outside for a walk, went for a swim, and just doing that simple thing is allowing that other person to feel safe and being able to talk about it. And I think it's just, and that's what I feel responsible for now, is kind of, okay, I'm an ambassador for Mikey's Line, but I want to be like an ambassador for everything, for being kind to people, making sure people are okay, mental health, mental fitness, strength, general fitness, eating well, all these things that are directly linked to your mental fitness, mental health. I'm responsible for that, so if the gym members that train in our gym can then take on that role as well, then they're then responsible for passing that message on and just kind of sharing that kind of journey or that movement that we're all on. And I think it's just, I never thought, like, it's insane, because I get really embarrassed when people say things to me like, oh, you must be proud of this. And I don't think like that. I just think I've been lucky enough to financially afford to open a gym, because I love training. I've loved training since I was a young boy, and you guys are coming in, and it's because of them. I get inspiration from them, and that drives me to want to do more. So I really don't think it's because of me. I think it's just people taking responsibility for themselves and they're wanting to improve as people. And I think that's what we need to do, is improving people.
If someone's listening to this, who's struggling, who can't necessarily find the words to open up in the way we've been talking about, what would you say to them, Luke?
I think if you've been struggling for a while, I would just sit back, take a step back, and look at what you've been doing. So look at your lifestyle, look at your diet, the way you are as a person, and if that has been going on for a long time and you've seen no improvement, you need to make a change. You need to do something different. So I just did a little chat earlier on. It's something simple. It's like, wake up an hour early. I know it sounds so stupid, but it's like, wake up an hour early, have a shower, fresh coffee, sit outside having that coffee. We aren't here by luck or we're here for a reason. That's what I feel. So sitting outside, listening to the birds, listening to whatever it is going on, just taking that moment and just thinking, right, what can I do different today that'll make myself better? Improve myself by, I just go for a walk, or I just go for a 10-minute walk. It's nothing out of your day, but you're doing something knowing that you're trying to improve yourself. And I think that's so important, and we don't get taught that in school, improving yourself. It's all about academics, this, finding a career, this, and it's so much stress and pressure to find that career. But the most important thing for me is knowing who you are, being happy in yourself, and doing things that improve you every day. So if you can inspire yourself to change, then you can pass that inspiration on to other people. And it's just doing that little things, man. It's so, I know it sounds daft, waking up an hour early, having a shower, doing the dishes that are in the sink, being that bit more proactive or productive, taking pride in what you do, and just knowing that it's okay to feel a bit crappy. But it's okay, but then it's not okay not to do anything about it for me. You know, we need to take responsibility. We can't rely on other people because other people also have those days. So if we can come together, oh, what did you do today? Oh, I went out for a walk, it was amazing, I felt so much better. Saw the sunrise, oh, it was amazing. Heard the birds singing, made a nice breakfast, you know, healthy breakfast, or, excuse me, it's doing those little things that will then transgress into the bigger things. And I think that's so important. I think that's, the little things are simple and so effective, I think. You don't have to do some big, like, you don't have to go and run around the UK, you know, to have it make a difference. You can just get up, walk around your garden, go walk to the shops, whatever. It's just, the little things are also, for me, are the most effective things, and that's what I would ask people, if anyone's watching or listening, sorry, just to make a wee change in what you've been doing. Just try it and see. I would say go jump in the sea and swim in the sea. That's, for me, that's a game changer, but maybe it's not for everyone. But just do something different, that's all.
Luke, thanks so much for talking to me.
Pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on.
Penny was talking to Luke Stoltman. A reminder of Mikey's line: if you or someone you know needs help or advice, you can text 07786 207755 or contact them via Messenger, web chat or Twitter. It's available Sunday to Thursday 6 p.m. till 10 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. Here's Shona McPherson from Mikey's Line with a few thoughts for you to mull over.
Luke's story illustrates that our mental well-being isn't a given, but rather our mental well-being is something that we all have to work for, that we all have to train for. Just as Luke trains for his physical strength, his mental health has been won by hard gains. And it's absolutely brilliant to hear a man in the Highlands speaking so openly about his emotions, about his feelings, and that he was able to access counselling support when he was struggling with grief and when he was struggling in his relationship. A really important point that Luke makes is that we need to cover the basics of good nutrition, of exercise, of getting outdoors, and of getting enough sleep. These are often underestimated building blocks of our mental well-being. And finally, Luke reminds us that it's so easy to say, I'm okay, when we aren't okay. It's our responsibility to ask for help when we aren't okay. He is one of the strongest men in the world, and yet he tells us how terrified he was walking up those stairs to see a therapist. And being vulnerable is such a scary thing, but if we are not okay, being vulnerable could save our life. If you aren't okay, if you are struggling in any way, please text us at Mikey's Line. You can text us on 07786 207755 and we'll be there to listen.
Speaking of Suicide is an adventurous audio production made possible thanks to the support of D&D Paving Ltd in partnership with Mikey's Line.